Hey, hey, we are live. We here. It's Tuesday night. It's your girl, Isha Nicole, with my boy, B Starks in the building. What up, B Starks?
What up? What up? How you doing?
What you been up to this week?
Man, is it Friday yet? The
It ain't
show,
Friday.
man, it's been a challenging 2 days.
What's been going on with you?
Oh, same old, teaching, educating, implementing, nothing important.
Man, that is the important work. So kudos to you, B Starks. We work together practically every day.
Every day.
Um, and so I watch you dedicate your life to your students, to the people that you serve, to your team. So,
There you go with that. Even Archie. Well,
so
thank you so much. I will say that, most people don't know our dynamic in which, I'm working for you, supporting you and your people. But,
not for me,
well,
alongside me.
alongside you, yeah. But, what the people don't realize is that, I got to give you kudos. I got to give you your flowers because uh, you mentor me daily, literally daily. And I was just telling a couple of people that today of how you've been helping me see things from a different perspective that I've never even really looked at, and I've shared a little bit about why, because when you're doing everything and you wear so many hats in your own organization, people can't do what I do in my world. Even the instructors can't do what I do. That's why I got these haters, these instructors that hate us, these
Mhm.
white supremacists, unfortunately, because I am the only person that looks like me, you know, as an instructor. So, just kudos to you. I just want to say thank you for your counsel. Thank you for your leadership to me. And then allowing me to be able to be the leader, even when I'm in your presence, you allow me to, take the bull by the horn. So, thank you for your counsel and your words of encouragement. You know, we joke, we laugh, we play, but people don't. I don't think everybody in your circle, probably maybe half the people know that about you, but you're very great at what you do. So thank you for continuous mentoring me.
Thank you, B Starks. It's
Yes.
mutual. I really do believe that, iron sharpens iron.
Hmm.
We talk all the time, and just the dialogue between us, when I got stuff going on, I run it by you and vice versa. And so you have been the same for me. So I appreciate that for real. For real, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for what you do with your people, and thank you for the things that you're going to do.
Hey, because we got some big things on the horizon. We doing big
Big
things, huh, B
things
Stark?
popping, little things stopping.
Hey. Now we got a lot. We got a lot coming up. We got some things that we are pouring into our community. We are creating opportunities. We are helping people create legacies. We are teaching, coaching, training, doing all of those things. And so I'm really excited about the journey.
Yes, absolutely. Ditto.
Yep. So we're going to get into it now.
Mm.
We've had some interesting dialogue this week around relationships, around boundaries, around communication. And we were just talking about something before we came online. So I'm going to just throw it to you, B Starks. Can you bring the people in our conversation?
Yes. So, my people. So, the conversation is about how do we show up in relationships, you know, and I never really thought about it. But the more that I've heard, and someone talked to me about this, a while back, how they show up as only one way. They only know one way to show up as a wife. They don't know how to show up as a girlfriend. They don't know how to show up as a person that's dating or even wanting to be courted. They only know how to show up as a wife. And Isha, when I heard that, I was like, when she told me that, I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? That was like an eye opener for me. So for those, you guys have seen me, on Isha's platform, So for me, I will echo the same thing. Um, I only know how to show up as potential husband, you know, and that's probably why I've had the issues that I've had in relationships because I go hard. And when I say I go hard, I protect, I provide, I profess, I do all those things, or at least I try to be very consistent in doing those things, in the dating scene. Financial support, to listen, be empathetic to a woman's needs. But for some reason, you have these people out of the woodworks, that come up to you, and because you've shown up a certain type of way, they aren't accustomed to you showing, they're not used to seeing that. So, in essence, you become that person that they feel like God, has sent them, as your mate. But in reality, that's something that maybe you've looked for, but the synergies just aren't there. So I had someone, and I'll just share this out there, and I'll just be 100% transparent to the people. I had someone that I dated years ago, and great person. She's a wonderful person. I have nothing negative to say about her. It just wasn't a fit for me, and I cut it off because there were certain type of behaviors that I had to learn I'm not going to tolerate. I'm not going to tolerate any form of manipulation, whether it's intentional or unintentional. I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. I'm not going to tolerate being talked down to because I understand my worth as a man. Like how I show up, that's not equivalent to how I show up. That's the total opposite. And I truly believe that she needed, but she was looking for me to come and be her savior. And
Mm,
I was telling, my boy, I said, the gift is we are gifted people and we show up in a marital status, but not everybody deserves that from us. We can't show up. We can't, Isha.
okay, so you in my business. So, um, and I'm gonna just put it all out there because we come full transparency, and so we talking for real, for real. And so, in regards to this particular topic, that's how I show up. Like I joke around and I say I don't do girlfriend well. Like I always show up in wife energy.
Mm,
There are some of us who, and I will say, I was created to be a wife. I was not created to be nobody's girlfriend. So I don't do that well, and that's not my position. That's why I don't do girlfriend well. And so the problem with that, to your point, is when we enter into relationships, especially with people who are not marriage material, we show up as full wife and full husband, meaning, and just to explain for people who don't know what that means, we are showing up our full authentic selves. We are showing up as caring, loving individuals, devoting ourselves to our partners. We are feeding into them, we pouring into them, we are encouraging them, sometimes investing in businesses, for you, paying bills, showing up financially. And oftentimes it's for that person, the other person, to show up halfway. You know what I'm saying? And so when the relationship is over, it's like you end up empty because you don't pour everything into this person, and then they showed up with a quarter of the effort. And so, one of the things that I've kind of learned is just One, don't enter into relationships with people who are not husband qualified. The second thing is, if they not showing up in full husband energy, even while we are courting or while we are dating, then I got to keep it moving. And when they start showing um, just certain behaviors that are not indicative to a spouse or indicative to a husband, I got to move around. It's not worth my time. So how do you create boundaries? Be like, how do you kind of be careful about how you show up now going forward, since you've had the realization that you show up in full husband energy?
You know what, Ish? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm figuring that out. You know, because it has been a real eye opener. Um, and I think just recognizing so self awareness, right? You have to be, now that I'm fully aware that that's how I've shown up. And I can go back to high school days. I can go back to college. Even when having children, I could go way back and see that's how I've always shown up. Certain people have certain criteria about themselves. They have a certain special gift. Not everybody has it. Some people they have an it factor. Some people learn it. Okay, you can be adaptable and learn through your life journeys. You can learn those things. And then some people just never get it. They just never get it. So depending on you, so when you ask me that question for the people, I think self awareness has to be first and foremost. I have to be self aware of my past behaviors, good and bad. So I think accountability is key. And um, then when you actually get with the person or those people, you have those conversations. I think conversation is key because you have to gauge, what type of person are you? So you have to gauge those. And of course, half the percentage of people don't tell you those things. You just happen to learn them
Mm-hmm.
because some people show, as RG Bree mentioned, representations. So you have representations of people because they have an ulterior motive. So I think that, you have to have those tough conversations we've talked about in the past. You know, talking about how do you handle certain situations, conflict, resolution, communication, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the third piece to that is you're self aware, you have the conversation, and then time and acts of service is going to allow you to determine how to show up. But you have to, if you're anybody like me, you have to learn as you go and just kind of assess things, as things progress and maybe not progress. You have to gauge the temperature, so that it doesn't become a detriment to you. Or most importantly, you don't keep showing up in the same behavior. So I think that's key.
Mm. So I'm gonna ask you a question. It's a two-part question.
Okay.
Uh, what does it mean to give too much in a relationship?
Mm.
And the second part of that is, how do you recognize that you're doing too much?
Okay. So what was the first question again? How do
Like,
you
what does it mean to give too much in a relationship?
what does it mean to give too much? I think that's a hard question to answer because if you're a natural born giver, you gotta have boundaries with yourself as what you're giving and what capacity that you're giving. And nobody's talking about, you know, oh, okay, I'm gonna take you out to eat, and I'm gonna pay for everything. No, we talking about time. You can't get back time. Time is something that you will never ever get back. So managing what you give, I think, is the key. Whether it's your time, your money, your efforts, your the way you show up, whatever capacity, however you show up. But I think you have to manage, be a manager over those things. And then what was your other question? You said, how do you scale back?
How do you recognize when you're doing too much?
Oh, you recognize it. You recognize it. Trust me. When it's not reciprocated, you recognize it then. So
Woo.
it doesn't become, when it's not reciprocated, then you take a step back and you be like, okay, I've paid for 3 dates. I get the phone calls. I get, you know, um, barely your time, barely your communication. However you communicate, however the style is, you guys feel comfortable. We talked about it last week, whether it's calling, texting, whatever that looks like for all parties involved. But when you're feeling like you're giving too much, more than likely you are, and you're
Mm.
not reciprocating. You know, I think then you recognize it. So then the question then becomes, what do you do about it? What do you do, Isha? What do you do about it?
Okay, I'm gonna answer the question, but first I'm gonna hop in the comments.
All right, hop in the comments. Let's do it.
So Jose says, initially he says relationships have become a lost art. I agree with that
Yeah.
100%. Um, and then when you're not receiving it back, what you put in. So you'll know.
Going back to Jose, good looking out, brother, representing the brothers. I can't be the only one.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially, for men, it's acts of service, right? We show up as, courtship. A man is supposed to court a woman, he's supposed to date her, all of the chivalry things. For women, I think the dynamics are different.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to, I don't want to step on nobody's toes, but I think this is a real reality. Some women give um, themselves to a person, to a man. And when you found that you've given yourself, oh, see, I can't speak to that, but that's powerful and key.
Yeah. So one of the things that I teach my daughters is, one, when you give yourself physically to a man, what that does is automatically puts you in a place of submission, right? And in partnership with that person. And so the first thing is, don't put yourself in that position. Take that aspect, take the physical aspect off the table, right? Like, we shouldn't even be having that discussion anyway. And I understand a lot of people are not going to agree with me because it's 2024 and some people feel like, hey, I need to test the water. Hey, I need to make sure, you know, I'm pleased in that area before I consider moving forward with a relationship with that person. And I would just say that the physical aspect to me, and again, I'm talking about to me, is secondary. You understand? There are some, and I've talked about this on a live before, I have some requirements, not expectations, but requirements. And those requirements have to be satisfied first before I even consider entering into a relationship with you that kind of goes toward in a direction of marriage. So the physical aspect is not even on the table to cloud my judgment.
Oh,
Okay,
oh boy.
you already know
Don't tell me we live. That cannot be happening right now.
it's happening.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
for those who don't know, this god awful noise that you hear in the background is my neighbor who decides to be incessantly on the walls and on the ceiling because she think I'm making too much noise. Okay.
It's getting louder.
It is getting louder because she has nothing else to do with her life. So I decided, and I'm going to get back to the point. I decided I'm going to go get her a plant. because I was taking the Jersey route. I was gonna go take my bat and knock on her door. But I'm not gonna do that though, because I'm saved and I love the Lord. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go buy her a plant and write her a note and leave it in front of her door. And I am gonna say, please, ma'am, please stop banging. Okay, whatever noise that you are hearing does not exist outside of your mind. Can you please stop banging? Please and thank you. Sign E. So anyway,
Wow, that's crazy. And it stopped.
and it's not because she probably hear me anyway. So yeah, so boundaries. So take the physical element off the table. That's first and foremost. And then, and again, this is work in progress, y'all. Hot off the press, I'm still dealing with it. Um, just really being careful of how much I give. Like when I realize, okay, you're doing a lot, you know, you being supportive, you are financially vested, you're emotionally vested, and this person is not reciprocating, I'm all the way back. I think going forward, I'm just not gonna go, I'm just not gonna get there initially, like from the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Just allow it to kind of be this gradual buildup of
Hmm.
support, and gradual buildup of energy.
Hmm.
But again, I've always shown up 100% me, and I just gotta pump my brakes a little bit. Pump my brakes.
Yeah, I want to touch bases right quick on something you just said about the physical part. You know, for a woman, you spoke to it for a woman. For a man, um, again, 2024, you know, and mind you, I don't judge. You know, I've most of my, I won't say most, but the longer relationships that I've had ended off physical off the bat. You know, and mainly, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with being physical if you have a purpose. Like if your goal is to only be physical, then you probably shouldn't do that with that person. But for me, it doesn't matter if it's physical or not. It could be physical now, it could be physical later. Because to me, at the end of the day, the physical is going to be the same. It's the moment in time. It's
Ugh.
physical. You know, for me, you know, I think that we men have to evaluate which head we're going to think with, whether it's the head downstairs or the head up here, you know. And I've had to learn not to listen to that one down there because you get with physical with a woman, and Kaisha, you keep me honest here, correct me if I'm wrong, but when a woman gives, most women, I'll say most women, when they give themselves either quickly or just period, in their mind, that's a relationship.
We go together.
Yeah,
We go together for real.
for us men, because we men, we just like, oh man, okay, you know, what's up, you know, it's great, you know, but we not thinking that way. So I think we as men, we have to be very careful which head is going to be the deciding factor because it changes the dynamics, you know. But I agree with you. For me, it doesn't matter. I'm for either way. We could do it fast, we could do it slow. Doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's still going to be intimacy regardless. The only part that changes is the emotional piece. That's what changes. That's what builds.
Okay, so I want you to jump in the comments. Take a look at the comments because that question is for you.
I can't.
But
I
you
can't see the
can't see it.
comments. Okay.
You can't see it. Okay.
Okay.
So Jose says, ask Brian, does he agree? I have to hear your voice before I close my eyes, and the first I hear when I wake up. Just the phone call in the beginning. So he's saying, I guess like when you're dating, they got to be the first person you talk to, and
Mm-hmm.
in the evening they should be the last person. So
Oh,
do you agree with that?
absolutely. You know, to me, the older I've gotten, the more wiser I've gotten. So again, the physical part, it to me, is it important? Hell to the yeah. I got to have it in my life, but at what cost? You know what I'm saying? If you want to have something of substance, you can't build a relationship off of physicality. You just can't. So for me, Mr. Man ain't finna do nothing if I'm not into you and you're not into me and we don't have some type of foundational connection emotionally.
Hmm.
That's just me. I can't, you know, because here's the thing, and Jose, you probably know this, I'm not tall, dark, and handsome. I'm short, cute, sweet, you know, I'm very charming, but I understand my strengths. I'm a nerd because I'm in cybersecurity, obviously, but um, when you get to a certain, when you start radiating at a certain level, you know what I'm saying, that is attractive to people, you start attracting, and you can get that all day long. You can get that
Absolutely.
even if you ain't trying. So if that's all you want, get your rocks off or whatever, and then, weed out the people that you are pursuing because in this day and age, and we've had it on previous calls, the Cardi B, the rap music that's here today. What's the little girl name? That's Ice
Oh,
Ice,
Sexy
and then
Red, Ice Spice.
Sexy Red. All brothers ain't, unless brothers ain't really real men, man. Man, we can no. If,
Okay.
if that's all you can do for us, man, keep that. We need substance. We need partnership. We need emotional support. We need yeah, nah.
And I think that's a realization that comes with maturity. And I think for most women, we initially want the emotional first.
Yeah,
The physical is usually not the deciding factor. We want to make sure all of the emotional requirements or components are there first. And
yeah,
we okay with exploring the relationship physically later.
yeah.
I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think with men it's the opposite. It's almost like some men, and I'm not speaking about all of them,
Mhm.
sometimes it's the physicality first,
Yeah.
right? And then you later realize that the emotional component is something that you need. And again, that's usually something that you gain with maturity. When you in your 20s, you're not really thinking about the emotional component or the
Right.
emotional aspect of it. It's the
Hmm.
physical that kind of drives your decisions around
Yeah.
who you enter into relationships with.
Yeah.
And so I think it's an interesting dynamic. Like, how do we, as men and women who both seek something different initially, how do we find balance? How do we create boundaries when we're dating? Right.
Mm.
And so, so Jose says in the comments real quick, I have to earn it physically. Let us both work towards it together to make sure that we're not making a mistake and wasting each other's time.
I'll say, my brother, you see, we see what you're talking about is true, but for men, is that the reality? Nah. For us brothers that are extraordinary, I'm with you 100%. Personally, I'm with you. I want to be able to connect more with you on so many different levels, spiritually, physically, emotionally. Definitely physically, for a man, physical is important. But I think when men come out of that state of mind to where we gotta have the booty, you know what I'm saying? Right now, what else is left after that? You know what I'm saying? I always share with people in my perception, I don't even like to even say the word sex, because to me, sex is a moment of time, it's a pointless act. Whereas intimacy is into you, I see. So for me, I would rather be into you because there's nothing more fulfilling when you are intimate with someone on a deep emotional level and you bring the physical part. Man, I think that's when we talk about, for those that are believers in Christ, I think God brought it to protect us when he said don't fornicate. There's many ways, but when we come from a spiritual point, when I was married, I will have to say I learned so much about the intimacy with my wife was totally different than being intimate with somebody else. You know, when you're in a relationship and you're intimate with someone, it's one thing, right? But when you married to that person and that's who you've connected with and soul you're tied to and you're spiritually connected, you went from level 5 to level 20, you know. So be careful because people gonna do what they want to do regardless. But I think for me, Jose just hit it. I need to connect with you on different levels. I need to see how we make each other laugh, how we act together, and then most importantly, how do we deal with conflict when there's conflict resolution? How do we deal with that thing? How do we deal with the fact that Isha, I don't want to talk to you today because you came at me some type of way. I don't want to talk to you today, so let's just pick up tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? We need to figure that thing out because that is real. That's not fantasy made. That's
Mhm.
not the honeymoons. That's not none of that. That's real. That's what after 5 months of dating, 6 months of dating, then those things are going to come. You know, are you secure with me? Do I trust you? How well do we communicate together? You know, all of that emotional part. When you get the physical out of the way, then you realize, okay, we don't even connect. Well, it's empty. You know.
It is. So Jose said the physical part can be detrimental if you're not careful. And so I was really just going to speak to that because whether you understand the spiritual component of being intimate with the person or not, when you are not married to someone and you are intimate with that person, there are certain connections that are now created between you and that person, right? There's a spiritual connection, there's a physical connection, and there's also an emotional connection,
Hmm.
right? That's why even in the movie, it's a thin line between love and hate. She didn't really start going crazy until they consummated the relationship, right? So um that goes back to what we were talking earlier about showing up in wife and husband energy. When
Right.
you add that physical component, you automatically now showing up in husband or wife energy. So whether you recognize that or not, so you're creating a marital relationship with somebody, and God help you if it don't work out. Now you got to go establish a relationship with somebody else, but now you still have the emotional. You may not have the physical one, the physical connection with the previous person, but you still got the spiritual and the emotional.
Hmm.
When when you talking to your friends and one of your friends bring up her name, something happens, right? It happens. You kind of feel something in your gut. You think about it. Either it make you mad or you going back to the moment, reliving the moment. So you create a connection with that person. So fast forward, you create relationships or marital experiences with 20 different people, and now you enter into the relationship with the person that's supposed to be your wife. So now you come in with all of the spiritual garbage, all of the emotional garbage that you now have to share with the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't really think about that. And so for me, I can't be out here giving myself away. Like, that's the work that I'm doing for my husband,
Yeah.
you know?
Mad respect. Mad
So,
respect. Yeah. So Jose, I think I'm gonna give y'all a little short background. Um, I had someone that I dated, like I said, a couple of years ago. Great person, wonderful person, prayer warrior, everything. We met, and I did something nice for her because it was her birthday. It was her birthday previously after we met. So I went to the nail shop, met her at the nail shop, said she wanted to get her nails done. So I just took upon myself again not realizing I'm giving relationship vibe already. I'm paying. I ain't. This my first. This our first meeting. A meet and greet is at a nail salon, and I pay for her nails to get done, and then we having conversation while she's getting her nails and stuff done. And then she off the bat was like, "Yo, come home with me." We did that thing that day, like first meeting. We did that thing. She was just like, "Man, I ain't never had a guy to just sweep me off my feet." Blah 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 blah. You know, a few weeks later, she introduced me to her son. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. It's certain things I'm not gonna do. It takes a while. You know what I'm saying? Previously, because someone hurt my family. Someone I was married, the woman I was married to hurt my family. So not only do they need to get over that, but I want to make it sure that this person is gonna be in my life. You know what I'm saying? Before I do that. Anyway, so she introduced me to her son 2 weeks later. The third week, little dude was talking about, can I call you dad? I, I've never had that before. So then she told me, oh, you hurt his feelings because he looks at you as a father, and I didn't really understand the things she was telling me. But basically, in so many words, she was telling me, you came with the husband vibe, you gave out the relationship D, you gave me the relationship D. You provide for me, you do all these things, and in essence, this is how you showed up. I didn't even realize and recognize that. So as time progressed, you know, I never changed. I never wavered because that's how I show up with people, you know. But then I started to see behaviors. All of a sudden, I became the booty call and I became the financial provider. And that's what she came with. Hey, I need some gas. Hey, I need, I lost my job, so now I need to get a certification, pay for that. I mean, I did some husband stuff. In the meantime, I'm giving out she coming over, hey, I need to get that. Come hit it, and then go back home. I'm like,
So you went from husband energy to sugar daddy that quick.
but, and in essence, going back to Jose's point and your questions, I realized I was doing too much and giving way too much because other than her coming over to have sex with me, what was she doing for me? She didn't take me out on dates. She didn't even emote me. She showed me off to a bunch of her people, you know, and allowed me to be in her space. And basically, I was her trophy, you know, and then told me and other people that God told her that I was her husband.
So
So,
yeah, you was spiritually.
you know what I'm saying? And I had to take a step back because it was too much for me. But what I realized is that I was doing too much. And that person wasn't even meant. We didn't even mesh well, especially when I start seeing the behaviors that on manipulation, passive aggressive manipulation, using me for sex and using me for money. And it didn't take me long. And at that point, Isha, I said, you know what? I can't do this no more. I'm looking for a wife, somebody to pour into me. I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm giving way too much of myself. So I started to peel back. And the moment that, and I'm about to wrap this up, but the moment that I told her, I said, look, I think we just need to totally revamp this whole dynamic. You know, I told her how I felt. So I had a responsibility to communicate how I feel. She communicated how she felt,
Mm-hmm.
and we could not come to a mutual agreement. So I said, hey, I'm okay with just being friends. Now, for me, those that know me, anybody that I've been involved with, if I don't have kids by you, I don't talk to you no more. Period. If I've had sex with you, if we've dated, I cut it off because people tend to come back because I show up in husband way. Long story short, she ended up losing herself in the situation because she degraded herself to say, I don't want to lose you. You're the best thing. I want to make it work. Let's just be sex partners at that point. I was like, no, no,
Mm,
that doesn't work for me because you giving me that now. But I need more than that. I'm more than that. And you should be more, you should feel more than that. You can still have a friendship or a different type of relationship with me, but it can't be intimate. I said, I'm not going to use you because I truly believe in karma. I could have
mm,
used her and got my rocks off, but I respected her enough to show her the real, which was, hey, boo, you're more than that. And you should value yourself more. And you should even look at me. What kind of man do you think I am? What does it tell you about me, my character? Because I'm not willing to continue to have sexual relations with you because I value you as a person. So let's just step back and work through the things that we need to work through. And if it comes back around, then it was God's will. She was pissed off at me. She was mad and has regretted me ever since, or she has resented me ever since
yeah.
because she compared me. Well, if it was another man, they would love to. I said, that's why I'm not every other man.
So I don't think we talk enough about that. How did it make you feel for a woman to say that really the only thing she wanted from you was the physical component? So of course that negated all your other feelings and the things that you felt you needed from a relationship. She just like, nah, I ain't got time for all of that. I just want you physically. Like, how does that make a man feel? Because we hear it the other way all the
Yeah.
time.
I think in this particular case, she wasn't, just trying to get her rocks off. What she was due because we had already built that soul tie, the whatever, that emotional and the physical got, day one. Because of how I treated her in and outside the bedroom, for her, she felt like, and a lot of women have this problem, I know that for a fact. She felt that if she could just be physical with me, that she could have a part of me still. And
Mm,
that was her way of tethering us together. But
yeah.
when I was trying to serve her the tether, it broke her heart, you know. So the
Mm,
question is, how did it make me feel that she was willing to? Well, first off, she didn't value herself. That's not attractive to a man or a woman. Number two, while she was coming over being sexual with me at her leisure when she wanted to, and then just leave. She wouldn't spend the night or whatever. You bring your son over, and then all of a sudden we get it in, then y'all bounce. I can understand, definitely understand how women have felt like they were being used physically. I felt that. Those were my feelings.
mm. That's crazy. I'm gonna jump into the comments because that's a lot. That's a lot
It
for me to
is.
process.
I'm sorry, y'all. That was.
No, I mean that's so real. But like, I have so many questions. Like, I wish I could ask her a couple questions. But um, even thinking from the beginning, like how your relationship progressed, like meeting the first time, being intimate the first day, within the first couple weeks, invite introducing you to her son asking you to be his dad, and it's kind of like it sounds like he's done this before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's the first thing that just come to my mind. But for the relationship to go through all of those phases in a short period of time. So how long was it? Just
uh,
curious.
how long was the relationship, quote unquote?
Yeah.
I think it lasted maybe 3 months, and then I I had to reevaluate because I didn't like the fact, and this goes back to your question. I was given way too much. I was given husband vibes off the top. So I don't blame her because that's what she's looking for a husband. She's looking for someone. But then if we look at internally, I think that there was there are some hurts that she had never dealt with, probably from her past.
Obviously.
Abandonment, because she was adopted. Her family abandoned her, um, and she became adopted, and found a new family. So abandonment issues was one of the things that I knew. Um, Insecurities, beautiful woman, but very insecure. She had picked up some weight, which she was not like out of shape or anything. She was just used to being a certain size.
Mm-hmm.
She was very insecure. So I dealt with, oh God, that really, I can't stand that. You insecure? Yeah. I mean, insecurities will, if you have insecurities from your past or you're an insecure person, you got to nip that stuff in the bud, because when you get with the person that you're meant to get with, if you allow your past traumas, hurts, and pains, if you don't deal with those things, your relationship is going to crumble quickly. So those were major components. And then again, that's why she was willing to have, she offered for us to just be sex partners, because she was feeling like that I was abandoning her,
Mm.
you know.
Whew.
So yeah,
Let me jump in the comments because I know.
yeah. What Jose got for me?
All right. Jose said, Brian and Isha, some people can't recognize the husband and wife mode. It really put them in a position that they've never been in before. I totally agree with that. And I think it's difficult when you are the one that's showing up that way to recognize. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think it takes for you to get hurt and feel like you gave too much in order for you to recognize, okay, this is how you showing up.
yeah. I think for me, um, the biggest lesson that I learned is, everyone has an ache of a man has the ache of his heart. There is a ache. Okay, we all have it. A woman has that same thing as well. It's in different capacities, but I think for me, I humble myself in this moment, because I'm not blaming her. I blame me, because for number one, I didn't realize how I showed up until recently. That's been, almost a couple of years ago since we dated, a year and a half ago, however long it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to hold myself accountable, even though I made some good decisions, but I allowed it to go on too long, for number one. And once I recognized her issues, of insecurities and abandonment, I should have got us help, which I did suggest counseling, couples counseling, but I didn't make sure that was followed through, especially when the manipulation and all those things that I've experienced before, and then it became a trigger for me. So when I know better, okay, when you know better, you're supposed to do better.
Mm-hmm.
I should have gotten help for her then. Um, there's a lot of things that I could have done, but I really needed to evaluate myself more. But the crazy thing is that when you show up, and as we talked about Isha before, when you show up at that capacity and you break those relationships off and you move on, for those people in their minds, you don't even have to communicate with them anymore. And they just have this sense of entitlement, like they could just reach back out to you after
Mm-hmm.
a year or so later, like nothing ever happened. Like, oh, hey, uh, I need you to come and help me. What? Like, what goes through a person's mind for them to get to that capacity? And this is what happened to me today.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't really spoke to this woman. She's called me from time to time about business adventures or helping people in her circle with business. But as far as me and her, I haven't dealt with this woman at that capacity in about a year and a half. And then for you to all of a sudden, text me out of the blue. First, the behavior started a month or so ago. I just get a random text and said, "Hey, I need to free myself from you. I'm letting you go. This, it." What? Like, girlfriend, go get you some help. You don't need to text me that. You need to talk to a therapist.
Yep, that's
I
that
didn't.
spiritual connection. That's
I
that
didn't.
spiritual connection.
I didn't even respond. And then today, so a few weeks later, today, or 3 weeks later, today, you up and just say, "Hey, I had a car accident. I've been in the hospital. I need you to come and get me." What? Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? So again, when I talk about manipulation, that's exactly what I saw. And correct me if I'm wrong, because in your mind, you're trying to manipulate me because of your issues.
I don't know. I can see it from a female perspective. And
Okay.
me, just like we were talking about earlier, when you show up as a husband, there are certain things that's expected. Two of those things is security and
Mm-hmm.
loyalty.
Okay.
And so for her, there isn't still a spiritual connection and also still an emotional connection. Even though you guys are not you don't have a physical relationship, those two components still exist for her. And
Okay.
so when there is a challenge or something in her life, of course she's going to reach out to the person that she feels she's still connected to.
But hold on. Okay, so hold that thought. So how is that when it was an understanding that this is served?
It was probably an understanding for you, but that don't necessarily mean that it was an understanding for her. I don't care what her mouth say. It's the same
Okay.
thing when there's a couple and they have a baby and then they
Mm-hmm.
break up, right? So now you got a baby mama. So some of the
Mm-hmm.
brothers can identify. You can identify with me. Just put it in the chats. So you have a baby mother, and so time has passed, and you decide to move on into another relationship, and all of a sudden she acting crazy. You understand? Because
Mm-hmm.
there is still the spiritual and the emotional connection that's there. And so, how does that manifest? It manifests in using the child to manipulate the other person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't manipulate them or control them physically, right? With intimacy. So, you grab the one thing that you know will hurt them, and that's often the child.
Right.
You understand? And so,
Big
to me,
facts.
that's what it appears, that's what it feels like. It was severed for you, but it wasn't severed for her. So let me jump in the comments real quick. So Jose says, Brian, I really appreciate Isha's mother for letting me be a part of her life. It gave me the encouragement that I would be a great father. So just to give you some context and some background, Jose dated my mom years ago. I think I was like 15, 16. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Jose. I think I was like
Oh,
15, 16.
that's what's up. Okay, now I
And
see the
so,
connection.
yeah. And so when he came into my life, and I don't even really remember how like the meeting was orchestrated. It was just one day he was there. I don't know. And so when he came to my life into my life, we began to build a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it wasn't like I needed a that father type relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the energy that he showed up in. So
Mm.
ultimately, it was beneficial for me because I had that relationship. And it's so crazy because he modeled love in a way that I had never experienced before. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And so even today, we are still close today. He in my life, and I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to have him in my life. So time would go on, and of course, they ended their relationship, and he would go on and get married and have a daughter who I now call my mom's
Nice.
sister.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. That's
yeah, and
awesome.
so we have a fantastic relationship, and so that's a little different than your situation. You
My
know,
my former
your
situation, you
former
mean?
situation. My bad. My bad. My bad. your former situation. The one she still is, it's not former for her. It's current.
Right. Yeah.
It's former for you. So just real quick, I appreciate you, Jose, for coming into my life, loving me unconditionally, and still doing the same. And so, yeah, so that's it.
I just want to speak to you, Jose. I didn't know that. I knew that there was a synergy there, but I didn't know the backstory. So, Isha, I appreciate you for sharing that. And Jose, let me just tell you, um, just with what Isha just mentioned, I take away from that exactly what we brought into this, that we have to evaluate how we show up in people's lives. Yours was a positive experience, and it was a great, long-lasting relationship for Isha. Which my brother, I tip my hat off to you. I'm proud of you. Because I hear Isha's bomb. It's just the bomb.com. But things happen for a reason. So my hat's off to you for handling yourself the way you did. You built a relationship with Isha, and then now you're a great father. And that's the second or third time I've heard you mention that. So I want to celebrate you, bro. Cool. Hats off to you for being the man that you are, and thank you for reminding me of how to show up in different phases. So now I got to be very careful how I show up in people's lives, especially when it comes to dating.
Mm. So Jose says, Brian, you showed up in husband mode and it was very intimidating to her. It's a level that she hadn't dealt with.
Right. I agree with that because
Mm-hmm.
for quite a few people, and I talked about this with my best friend of 30 years today, because we both show up the same way, and we can never figure out like, dang. But I think it's important for us to understand it, because those are the type of people. When a woman like that that's been hurt, that hasn't dealt with her hurts, and she's looking for that knight in shining armor or a husband to protect her, women often look at us, Jose, as the S on our chest. Now, I literally have an S on my chest, but we have this Superman, S on our chest. We have the cape. Then we become Captain Saberhose. And as we try to, foster that, we try to foster that, but it becomes a detriment.
Mm.
Because it becomes a detriment because that's who we are to that person. And then we, as the superhero, we become lost because we're giving and giving and giving, and we save and we save and we save. And that's what happened to me. I kept saving financially, kept saving you physically and financially, that it drained my life force. So then it ultimately became my kryptonite. So I think we definitely got to be sure to be mindful how we show up. What
Mm.
version of us? What version? And
Fact.
how do we manage that? So for me, I say that I realize that, and I got to be mindful of, regardless on what type of relationship it is, friendships, even for friendships, with family. Because now I realize, for family, friends, I've been that guy. I can count on one hand, if I needed something financially, if I needed something, me, because I'm always the person that's for, mentoring or coaching. I'm the alpha in my family. I can't go to nobody. One person. I could probably go to Isha. Isha's my one person I could go to. Hey, if I need $5,000, Isha. Hey, I need this. You know what I'm saying? I can't go to nobody else with that. If I need emotional support, I understand who I can go to. If I need, anything. But, so for me, it's difficult. So now, even with family, I have to manage how I show up, because my kids are all adults now, with one graduating next year. How do I show up? Do I show up the same as I did before? Or do I elevate myself and show up in a different way? That's
Mm-hmm.
not detrimental to my mental health.
Yeah, and that's setting boundaries.
Yeah.
On a very individual level, on a case by case basis. You know, it's okay to have some blanket boundaries, but For the most part, we've got to set individual boundaries, like based on the relationship. The same
Absolutely.
boundaries that you have with somebody you're dating is not going to be the same that you have with
True.
your adult children.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Brian said, because when you asked about like what is the measure, like how do we gauge how much energy and how you show up,
Hmm.
Jose says chivalry is a test for me to see how they react.
Yeah, I could agree with that, Jose. Um, I can agree to kind of disagree because nowadays a woman is like some women out here feel a sense of entitlement. Like for a woman, their requirement or they expect a man to be chivalrous. You know what I'm saying? They don't allow us to show them that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's why I say I agree to disagree. I'm the same way. Nobody's gonna pay for anything. Nobody's gonna, you know, nobody's gonna pay for any meals or drinks or anything. I'm always gonna show up because that's the gentleman in me. However, people, some women have that as an expectation.
Mhm.
RG Breeze in the
I
building.
know she is. She is. I'm gonna pull her off screen until she turn
She
the
gets
video on.
situated. So
But
I can only imagine what she about to say if she been listening.
yeah. So that's dope. I appreciate. I feel like I got some understanding tonight about one, setting boundaries, what that looks like, what are some of the measures, what are some of the tests to use. Um, so I appreciate that. So Jose says, Isha and Brian, they fail every time.
Oh
It
wow,
says when they
wow,
say, "Why you do that? I could open the door myself."
wow.
Gosh, we talked about masculine energy before in
Hmm.
women, and we've also talked about men who can't handle when women show up as in our soft girl energy.
It's attractive. It is beautiful because you know it's just the dynamics of women. When a man thinks of a woman, he thinks of soft. He thinks of a lady. He thinks of we don't want a woman showing up like, oh, you the alpha? No, I'm the alpha. It's only one alpha. You know,
Right.
or one leader. But then you showing up in this masculine energy, and I can't. To me, I'm competing with you. You know.
Mm. I just had a real bad visual.
Would
So
you
when you
like to
talk,
share?
huh?
Would you like to? I'm almost afraid to ask. Would you like to share?
Well, you were talking about how when women show up in really masculine energy, it can be off-putting for a man to deal with a woman that act like a dude. You know. So anyway, bad visual.
I don't think that's really what your visual was. I think you softening that thing up.
I did. I did because
Because
we on daytime TV.
I know you.
Yeah. Anyway, some things, y'all get the point. Y'all understand.
Mhm.
So they says, I love someone that has class and respect about themselves.
Absolutely. Turn ons, what are some turn ons, things that are attractive. And you can, and that's what, I spoke about that earlier. I appreciate a woman um, showing up in class, but still can be sexy. If she has a see through dress on, she don't have to show her cleavage or show her butt. You know what I'm saying? To me, if the arms are see through and the legs are see through, that's still classy, but it's
Honey,
sexy.
I'm
Yeah.
queen of the sexy arms.
Hey, hey. But when you go to like places, like for example, when I was seeing that person, we went out somewhere, and the place where we went out is somewhere I never That was the first time I've been there, and I'll never go back because the vibe was like hood rich, and there's nothing wrong. It's just my preference. Like I don't have to go to a place where they're half naked women. Like they got on Santa Claus outfits, but you can see their booties and you can see the fishnet and you can see their coochies. But
Mm-hmm.
then her party had on those dresses that it's a cute dress, don't get me wrong, but you clearly can see the woman ain't got no drawers on. To me, that spells like you putting yourself out there to be handled and you'll accept anything coming. It's like an open invitation, like, oh yeah, I'm a bad bee. I got this wop, you know what I'm saying, type vibe. And yeah, that's super unattractive to me. Is it nice to look at? Depending on the woman. But could I consider that person seriously, like a wife? Because I definitely don't want my wife showing up like that. Now, if she want to be classy, you know what I'm saying, and have on something elegant, that's one thing. But don't be out here representing me and you out there showing people you got a clear dress on and we see you ain't got no drawers on. No, sorry, sister. Mm.
So is that so come with experience? I see RG Bree in the building. Let me bring her up because is she shaking her head, y'all?
Is
Let's
she really?
yeah. RG. RG in the building. We miss you, girl.
Look, my boy said people are thirsty.
I see you got the water.
Because he said we got thirsty people in the building. Good evening,
Mm,
everybody. How are you?
Good evening, RG
good. We
Bree
miss
in the
you.
building.
I
All
had to
right.
I had some slow people I was working with today, so they wouldn't let me off the call. But I've been listening. I had them in one ear and you guys in the other.
Good
Interesting
stuff.
conversation tonight.
Interesting. Jose says, "Hey, RG Bree."
Somebody say hello, beloved. How are you, my darling?
Yeah, so interesting conversation. So boundaries and then how we show up in relationships. I know you got something for us. Put us in our place.
Here we go. I think boundaries are you are the first example of how you want people to treat you.
Hmm.
You can't. So when you establish a relationship, you have to set the boundaries from day one. Like if I require, and yes, I use the word require, not request, not suggest, not ask, but require. If I require you to open the door, if I require you to put me first, if I require you to handle me in such a way like I should be handled, then you have the ability to say, okay, I need to be handled this way as well. And I think that those things need to be put up front. Don't start putting up with some because what you start a relationship with, that's how you're gonna have to continue with it.
Mm.
So I think what happens is you will give people a pass because oh well he's sweet, but he had this. Oh, but he was just tired. No, not zero zip nada. We have to be the first example of how we want people to. You can't tell somebody, I want you to get my hair done every week. I require you to get my hair done every week. And you ain't got your hair done in 16 years. You can't do that. You can't, you have to set the standard of what you want and what you need on both ends.
Oh,
And
just for
I
the
think,
record, that's my
uh-huh,
requirement.
right.
What? Wait, what? Wait, what? What's your
But
requirement?
No, we talked about this. We talked about this.
requirement.
Married. I'm married. The requirement is my hair got to be done, and the reason for that is because I don't come to bed looking like Aunt Jemima. You understand? That's a
She
benefit.
don't she don't have one of these on her head when she come to bed.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay.
And
So
if that's the
because
case, yeah.
yeah, so because that's a benefit for you, right? I don't come to bed looking like Aunt Jemima. Then when I go swipe that card to get my hair done, it should work.
Oh
All day
Lord,
long.
she said it should work. Lord have
Yeah,
mercy.
because that's another thing. Some of us, only grown people on
It's only
this
grown
call,
people. It's after 9 o'clock, they grown.
because some of us are digmatized and whipped. Some of us ladies get digmatized, and some of you guys get whipped. And when you are in that place, you can't see your reality. You can't see the fact that you would not have put up with that, except the brother is laying it down like he's supposed to. And intimacy is only one part of a relationship. And so you don't even know what this brother' favorite color is, but he got you in your head, your legs in a jujitsu knot, and you about to go crazy.
Bad
Brother,
timing.
yeah, I said a jujitsu knot. He got your leg. I can't breathe, brother. Put my leg down. But now, so we have to understand that there's things that come in order, and then we pull things out of order and wonder why it's out of order, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like you. You don't take a bath like I want you to take a bath. You don't. Okay, I'm
Smell
gonna pause there. That goes on both sides. You got
smell
a brother ain't taking a bath, and he throw your pH off and then tell you it's your problem. You, I said it. Some of y'all need to drink cranberry juice and eat some pineapples too, because you'll throw my pH off and then say it's my fault. You,
Wow, we all had to take a drink on that one.
I'm
Man.
just.
it. Karen, where's the lie? I'm looking for the lie. I'm looking for the lie.
It's a
Wow.
two-way street, and we're talking about things that we don't talk about. We're talking about the fact that simple courtesies and simple things that you don't like, but you'll put up with and then complain about it. No. And another thing I can't stand, since I still got this soapbox, how you gonna say you love me and call me a bitch out your mouth?
Mm.
Facts.
You can't do that. You can't call me a C word and tell me you want me to have your children. And the C word is not caregiver.
Mm.
You can't. You can't. You can't speak to me in a manner in which is not loving and kind. We had another conversation about how you argue with people, how you discuss, how you have debates, discussion,
Yeah.
disagreements. Some of
Mhm.
y'all don't fight fair.
Ooh.
Like I said in the other conversation, if
Mm.
we're talking about the light bill, how my mama come into it, you
Mm.
know, and them your kids. You,
Mm.
You know what, RG?
really?
You just I don't want to say you struck a nerve in me, but I had a conversation. I had a conversation last week, and the young lady I was having a conversation with, we were just talking, and then all of a sudden, we just started. Well, she started telling me some things that she didn't appreciate, and it kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, oh man, you know. So we had differences of opinion. You know, I didn't
Okay.
necessarily care for her approach because it's like me, the way I communicate is I like to, if there's something that is happening or has happened, let's nip it in the bud and address it. You know, if you don't want to address it that day, that's fine, but at least communicate with me and say, hey, look, I want to talk to you about some things. You know, set the stage. When's a good time for us to talk? Something I learned in marriage was called table talk. So then she
Right.
mentioned some things, and I'm talking about she was counting them off. Oh yeah, this that wasn't that wasn't appropriate. Yeah, this was another situation. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on now. But in essence, long story short, we had a conflict. There were some things that she didn't agree with, in which, again, oftentimes what I do is I listen, I process, and I acknowledge. I
But does it come off as dismissing and ignore?
But that's the beautiful part about the whole thing is that that was the very first time we ever like got that real and raw, you know. And her approach was definitely, let me just be honest, because I think this is a safe space. It was coming from an emotional place. It was a feeling. It was an anger, uh, whatever the emotion was. But I'm not accustomed to hearing her like, "Whoa!" I'm not
So,
used to hearing
so,
that.
so she was talking to you hard and strong.
I don't want to say that. I think it was firm is the word I'm looking for. It was more
And you didn't
firm.
like firm?
No, it wasn't that. It was the fact that, and I pinpointed. So what happened was my reaction to some situations triggered her,
How do you know
and
they triggered her and not pissed her off?
it could have been both.
Same
But
thing.
Right.
then it ended up triggering me because that level of tone
Okay,
isn't something.
let's stop right there, B. Let's stop right there. I'm a grown woman all day long. You don't like my tone? You don't like what I say? So that means I have to speak to you in this manner and talk to you in this way and whatever you like. What are we saying? I can't even raise my voice. I can't have inflection in my voice. So you didn't like the tone? Was it That's why I was trying to figure out was the tone, because I can get hard and strong, right? I can get
Yeah,
right disrespectful with my tone. I can talk to you like you five. Who you talking to, man? You'll lose your
mhm,
name and everything. You'll be man, all
right,
that.
right, yeah.
And so I'm trying to find out, because that's a work on me. Me, I'm raising my hand. What is
hmm
it about what is it? What she said or how she said it that threw you off initially? Is what I'm trying to find out.
I think the approach was, and then as the conversation kept progressing, she was leveling up, and I was like, oh, okay. But I listened, because for me, I don't need you talk to me how you feel like it. But one thing that we gonna have an understanding: don't cuss me out and don't treat me like I'm some Joe Schmo off the streets.
Right.
Now, those things didn't happen, so that's why I listened. I listened, and then, you know, but then I didn't even have to tell her. She actually acknowledged. She said, "You know what? My apologies, because my approach wasn't the best." And I apologize because I
Was it
recognize.
her? Was it her approach one of the best because she saw you being taken aback and she saw your face going, "Okay, little girl, don't shoot your shot too quick." Well, I mean, I'm trying to get to a point of understanding here, because if I'm saying something, like I'm talking right now, and I'm very passionate about what I'm saying, B, I don't like it. I don't like what you said. I don't like what you did. It angered me. It pissed me off. I don't like it. And I don't want you to do it again. If you don't mind, sir. Whatever it is, if I'm saying it to you in the tone that I'm talking to you now, is this too much?
I don't think it was too much. I just think it caught me off. I think it caught me off surprise because I wasn't accustomed to that. So to hear that,
From her, or period?
yeah, from her. But
From
the
her.
point
Okay.
of the point of what I'm saying is, we ended up having a conflict in that moment. But
Okay.
at not one point in time did the conflict become degrading to the other person. I
Right.
wasn't degrading, and nor vice versa. We respected each other enough. Yeah, she was pretty pissed. I could tell. She definitely let me know she was pissed. But I definitely acknowledged, you know what I'm saying? I did acknowledge because I then had to take a step back. And that's one thing that we talk about representations and all that. When conflict arouses, how do you both handle those situations? That how you handle that is going to determine the outcome of what the relationship is going to be. Or not saying it's a relationship, but it's going to, if that's depending on how you respond.
How it moves and ebbs and flow.
Exactly. That will
Right.
set up. That's a what is it? There's a saying, RGB. I can't think of it. It's a set up for a set something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
point,
It'll
yeah,
come.
you know
It'll
what I'm
come to
trying to
me.
get to. But the
Yeah,
point
I know.
is that
I know the saying you're trying to say. Let me ask
it,
you this question, E. Let me ask you this question, because you know me. I don't back down. Is it wrong that I have, in the last maybe 25 or 30 years, have not had to apologize for what I say, but how I said it? Right? Is that it's because I'm in a leadership position, I'm in an authoritative position 99% of the time during the day. I'm the big cheese, I'm the HNIC most of the time. And so when I speak very clearly, I speak very directly, and a lot of times I don't apologize for what I said because I meant what I said. I may have to
Admit what I said.
apologize
Said what
for
I said.
how I said it,
Hmm.
yeah,
right? Because
you're
I
the
said it
lead.
hard. That's why I was trying to get from B. That's why I was trying to ask you those series of questions. And if there's somebody in the comments listening, then you please chime in. Your girl's trying to get some clarity. Because if you all are getting offended by how I say it, and it is how it comes out, this is organically, is it truly what I said, or is it really how I said it that
Okay.
really takes you to that place of, all right, little girl?
All right. I can speak to that just a little bit. First, Jose in the comments say, "RG, you a beast. You are a beast," and we wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah,
So in regards to kind of the manner in which you communicate, from the moment I met you, I knew what it was. I knew what it was. I said, "What are two ways? Like either this gonna be super harsh and it's gonna hurt my feelings and I'm gonna be all in my stuff and I know I can't deal with her like that, or I am gonna get to know who she is as a person and her intent. So that way, when she say it real hard and strong to me, my feelings ain't gonna be hurt because I know she got my best interest in mind." Uh, so what happened was, as our relationship began to evolve and to develop, what I knew was you always wanted my best interest,
mhm.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you had to tell me something, and now in the role as my mentor, sometimes you got to say some stuff to me that's hard and strong because I'm used to functioning in a certain, like you say, authoritative position,
Mhm.
right? I am always the H and I C in my circle, always. And so sometimes I need to be talked to hard and strong. And so because I know your intent and I understand who you are, I don't get offended by it.
Okay.
Now, let me make sure that we all understand each other. I was not offended. I just felt like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not used to her
Seeing
speaking to me
her in
like
that
that.
way.
Yeah, she didn't.
What? Well, see, that's what
But
I'm
it's like with
saying,
RG.
though.
Hold on. What here's what to Isha's point. What I'll say is, I didn't take offense to it. It took me back for a moment. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't take offense to it. For number one, she was still being respectful. She wasn't disrespecting me, and she came hard. For me, it felt like she came. That's the harder I've ever seen her come. But one thing I had to take a step back and not get too sensitive about it is, yeah, her delivery could have been better, but I understand she has my best interest at heart because she cares for me as a person, just as a human being. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, I didn't come back with like, girl, who the hell you talking? I didn't come,
Ready
but
to
it
fight.
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't any need. But my point is that the conflict aroused for the very first time ever that we've ever, communicated, and because of that, I was even more appreciative because in my past and in previous situations, those conversations were totally different. So to me, it was almost a, a fresh of breath air that I can actually have conflict with someone, and we can still respect each other. I was telling Isha, matter of fact, a week ago, different person, a guy. I've been knowing this dude for 29 years, and how he came at me was just like disrespectful. It's one thing to come at me and RG Bree, you may come at me with that type of, that I'm not gonna take offense to it because at the end of the day, I know that you have my best interest at heart. Or even Isha, you come at me, Isha, like that, I'll tell you how I feel about how you came at me, but I'll appreciate the fact that I understand you want what's best for me. But a guy friend of mine that claims we brothers was totally disrespectful to me and degrading me. And this is not the first time it's happened. It's happened continuously over the years. And I was talking to Isha about it, and it bothered me so much. It kind of bothered me, but it didn't really bother me because at the end of the day, that's who the person is. And on top of that, you must don't have no respect for me to come at me continuously. The behavior is a constant thing.
Mhm.
Ever since then, I was like, you know what? I don't have no conversation for the dude. Period. Dude's never done anything for me. Honestly, I think the guy's jealous of me. You know, um, honestly. So, but again, back to the Jose's point, the whole relationship point. I'm sorry, I went on a soapbox. But the
Mm-mm.
point of what I'm saying is that how you have conflict resolution in your relationship or with someone, that is going to shape what that relationship is going to look like. So if you guys don't handle that thing well, talk about it, clean it up, and see how you guys can get on the same page. But if it's a continuous behavior issue and you got the same reactions, my father told me, don't have a reaction, have a response. Because a reaction comes from an emotional place. And when we're emotional, we're not going to be in our right minds.
Well, mine told me, you don't like what I said, get a better argument.
Facts. Be able to defend your position better.
Be able to defend your position better, you know. And I think again, from the beginning, if you say don't don't come for me unless I call you, don't start none, it won't be none. Look, if you buck, flip me over, you gonna get a brand new me. If you establish that kind of crazy at the beginning, that kind of okay, this is the box. You want to keep me in it, right? Because and here's the thing: the three men that I have been most in love with in my life, right? They all knew that if it came to a physical confrontation, they could dust me 1,000. I ain't never gonna be with a man that I can beat up. Okay, I'm gonna just put it out there. I'm never gonna be with a man that I can beat up. Whether you tall, short, fat, wide, skinny, light skinned, or if I can beat you up, I can't be with you because you can't protect me. So I feel some kind of way about that. That's just me. We have to have therapy about it.
Mm.
Because I have to feel like you can protect me or at least hold your own. We could be a team, but if I think I could take you, it's on and popping, right? Literally. And so what? I mean,
That's real.
so I mean, it's real talk. We just okay. I won't be real no more. I'm just saying.
Nah, keep it real.
And so when you are doing having arguments, disagreements, discussions, the fact that I've had guys say, "You can't talk to me like that." I don't know nobody talk to me like that. You challenging my manhood, dude. If by me telling you shut up, who you talking to is challenging your manhood, I don't need to be with you. I'm saying me a verbal confrontation back and forth should not challenge your manhood. That I ought to be able to say what you can't say that to me. What I can't say to you. What I can't part my lips and say to you. I need for a man or someone on this thing to give me clarity because I've been told that twice in the last 5 days. Who you talking to? You can't talk to me like that. Oh yes, I can. Watch me. Just stand right there. And let me show you what I can say to you.
Oh, so I
Cause
want to
you
I want to jump on that. I want to jump
okay.
on that. I want to go to the comments first. So Jose said, "RG, I hope to meet you one day. This is my opinion. You be straight up front with people, and some can't handle that. People have to recognize when a person has your back and your best interest at heart." And so he also said, "Don't be fake. Be real.
Yeah, be who you are.
Straight up, straight up."
Can't
So
stand it. Can't stand it.
I wanted to talk about that little spicy responses. So
And I'm gonna
if
tag that thing when she done.
no, I mean you go ahead, B.
No,
I'll jump
no,
after you.
ladies,
Okay.
ladies first. You got it.
So for me, and anybody that knows me in any capacity, I can be very soft spoken. I can be very direct. Almost like my words will love you and cut you at the same time. It's gonna be the very thing that when you get home, you like, wait a minute, what did she say? What happened? Right? The other side of me is when it's something I'm passionate about, y'all can see that other side. Yeah, I become
Mhm.
Isha from Jersey, right? Not Isha the CEO, not Isha the business strategist, not Isha the counselor, Isha from Jersey, straight up. And so, to the point that I was making earlier, if you know me, then you're not going to be offended by that. If you don't, I can see you taking offense to that. And if anybody has had any type of conflict, or not really conflict, but disagreement with me at all, you know that about me. If it's
Right.
about finances. It's about my people, my community. If it's about social issues, I'm gonna go hard because that's
Right.
just what I do. But if you know me, you ain't offended.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
point. So I want to, yeah, I feel that, Isha. Um, RGB, you asked something a moment ago. That's what I wanted to focus on because you said you needed some
Okay.
clarity. Jose said it best, and even Isha mentioned it from her point of view. I think that I saw something um, last year or the year before, and it spoke to any of us. It said, if you are easily offended, you can easily be manipulated.
I agree.
So, a lot of
Yeah.
times, what I have acknowledged from my own self, people can say, oh, well, B Stars, he's sensitive. No, I'm not sensitive because, I've had people come raw at me, from Isha's standpoint and from your standpoint. That's been my whole life. My mom is a very strong willed person. And she kind of got that RG. Well, she has more RG in her,
This is
so
the
that,
nice cleaned up version you looking at, B.
For real, for real,
yeah.
this,
So
the, this the clean G version of me.
I
real.
think what happens is because of a man and how he grew up and how he's dated and married, and the women have tore him down verbally. I think that's when it becomes an issue. It's not you, it's the traumas that they haven't dealt with in the past. And I can honestly say that, I've been talked to all kinds of ways. Maybe sometimes I deserved it. Even my sister, she talks to me kind of like that Isha mentality. She's very soft spoken, uh, but she gonna thump me on the head, you know. She gonna thump me on the head and make me feel like Isha said, like, wait, what? what happened? But
Right.
I think for you, RG, to give you clarity, I think people that you've spoken to, and Jose, I would like to know your thoughts as well. But those men haven't dealt with the triggers. It's not you because you're passionate. That's who you are. And I think men can't handle that because it's an issue with them. They haven't dealt with how people have tore them down. So when they hear the loudness and they hear the the power and the passion,
Mhm.
they're timid. It's almost like a trigger for
Yeah,
them.
traumatic response.
Yeah, it's a
It's
traumatic
a
response.
Okay.
traumatic response.
Because here's the thing. One guy asked me, the reason why you probably been divorced so is because you so hard and strong and you don't submit. Are you kidding me? I am the most girly girl you will ever meet, and you don't have to ask for submission if you're standing in your position as a man. I automatically get in line. I automatically single file. That's without see that's what men don't understand. You can't request, require, or demand my submission. I give it
Mm,
to you freely. And see, when it's given to you, like that thing, like that lady said, her and her husband, they did a feet washing ceremony, right? And when they got married, they did a feet washing ceremony. And um, the first thing that the people said was because his was different than hers. She physically she washed his feet, right? She washed his feet, and there's a whole, religious thing about the washing of the feet. You know what I'm saying? As a sign of her submission to him, and I will honor and follow you. She said every woman except for two old women was like, girl, ain't no way I'd have washed his feet, especially in public. But the kind of submission that a true marriage takes is that kind of understanding where not giving up anything. They use the word submission like it's a bad word. It is the most sacred thing between a husband and a wife, not a girlfriend or boyfriend, but it's the most sacred thing between a husband and a wife for me to submit to you. And I think we don't understand what that looks like. You standing in your madness, I'm standing in my feminine energy, you standing in your male energy, and those things line up. You know what I'm saying? They line up. and they sync up and they ebb and flow. And I think we don't understand that when we have conversations about conversations. You know, I think that's we don't get it. We don't get it. And I think we have to come to the fact that we've got to be able to sync up. It's got to be, I said to one of my clients, and she broke down and started crying. And I asked her husband, can you be naked in front of your husband?
Mm.
She thought I was talking about a physical naked,
Girl,
but I wasn't.
you better preach
See, I could have all my clothes off and be butt naked
and still be
and
bucking.
still be totally closed up and closed off with a parka, a hat zipped up, a coat shawl. I can have all of that on and I be totally closed off from you. Can you stand before your husband and be totally naked? He knows all and won't throw that back in your face. Like we talked about, you see a man cry or weep. If my man can't cry because his grandmama dead, if my man can't cry because a child has been hurt, we got a problem. I ain't talking about, you know, I ain't talking about that. If I'm talking about the brother can't shed no tears in front of me, his heart ain't hurt, he ain't moved by stuff he see.
Mm.
If you don't allow him to be that vulnerable with you, how you think he gonna be that vulnerable to you? How you think when you come to him and everything's poured out, he's not gonna be like, girl, go on, bye, miss me with that. Go on, get yourself together. Because you haven't allowed him to be naked in front of you.
Yeah, and that goes back to that husband and wife dynamic or relationship.
Mhm.
You are supposed to be the landing space.
Yes, Lord.
You are supposed to be the place where he can come to cry, to laugh, to gain
Mhm.
encouragement, to be
Mhm.
just supported and to love. And so, if your husband cannot do that with you,
Don't expect him to do that with you.
No, she finna say the other thing. She finna say if he can't do it with you, then who he gonna do
don't
it
say
with?
it. He
Who
gonna
he
do it
gonna
with
do it with?
somebody.
Yeah,
He
that's
gonna do
true.
it with somebody because that is whether they know it or not or will admit it or not. That is a requirement for them. You
It
are
is.
supposed to be their peace,
Mm-hmm.
and
They,
so vice
mhm.
versa. As a woman, your job is to protect me, and that includes protecting my heart. And if
Mhm.
I cannot be vulnerable with you and expose my heart, to Regina's point about being naked, if I can't expose myself to you safely, real talk, I don't look half bad. There is somebody.
And even if you did, there is somebody.
There is somebody
Yeah.
that will provide that safety and that security for me. And so that's where it gets really complicated. And we got to be real careful.
That's a whole nother conversation
I
in
know.
itself. Yeah.
So let me jump in the
Sorry,
comments.
sorry about that.
So Jose says, Brian, I can only go by what I hear from you, my brother, and I'm the same way. We don't like disagreements and arguments. Our mentality is that you don't have to raise your voice to get your point across, but we come to an agreement or we meet halfway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, and Isha, you have echoed this before. It's about requirements. I require uh, respect because I give it. Anything that I do for you, I'm not gonna ask anything of you that I'm not willing to do myself. That's leadership 101. I'm not gonna ask my people to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. You know, and then something else. So RG Bree kind of reminded me of something. I had put it there in the chat. You ladies require chivalry, or at least I think that's what I heard. The same things that you guys told me a while back. That you said something in the degree of my when I walk into a room or I speak, it demands submissions. I can't remember exactly what y'all told me, but you both said it and echoed it to me specifically. But I think it's the same thing, Jose mentioned about chivalry. A man automatically understands his position. You don't even have to tell him to open the door. You don't even have to wait for him to open the door. He gonna make sure that thing that he got that. If you have to tell him and you require that, it's one or two things. Either you're not giving him an opportunity to show you, or he just ain't naturally built that way. Period.
So do you think it's consciousness or it's surroundings? Because if some men have never seen how a man is supposed to treat a woman, all he's seen is whole slut bitch. All he's seen is uh, fighting, cussing, and fussing. There was a saying that said 79% of all people, young people under the age of 39, have never gone to a wedding. Never. They've never gone to a wedding. 79% have never gone to a wedding. So that means we're not echoing what we require. We seeing shaka, we're not seeing commitment. We seeing how many babies can I have? You paying me, we not share. Where if the young man has never seen it, a young woman has never seen it, how do
Mm-hmm.
they know to require those things? Because they're always searching for something they don't even know. You know how you ever had, you be like, I want something. Well, what do you want? I don't know. You want taco? Oh, I know I don't want that. You want cheeseburger? I don't want that. You want? I don't know what I want. I just know what I don't want. They can tell you what they don't want quicker than they can tell you what they want because they've never tasted it before. You know what I'm saying? They've never experienced it before. So in a relationship, what if you get somebody, bones are good, but he just dumb as a stick? He has no idea what it means to treat a woman, be responsible, because he's never had those examples. Do I give that brother a pass and then we learn and grow together? Or I said, next.
I think you have to. Oh, go ahead.
You have to give him a pass, and the only reason why I want to jump in here is because I was that guy. I was that guy growing up. So you ladies don't know this about me, but I grew up in abuse. I didn't have a model of. I didn't know anything about marriage, like this foundation of marriage. I didn't know anything about a man is supposed to ask the father to give his daughter. I didn't know nothing. The only thing I knew is how to help people and how to treat. I was opening the door for the elderly at 12 years old. I was praying like a grown man, and these grown deacons couldn't. They were too afraid and ashamed. So I grew up, you know. But one thing I will say, and about my ex-wife is that she taught me how to be the shivery man. Now she didn't have to teach me to open the door, but in that particular instance, um, if a man has not ever had that, and you are, because here's the thing, you teach me how to love you, I teach you how to love me.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So because everybody's different, RG Bree, I'm gonna love you differently than I love everybody else because you're teaching me how to love you because you're not the same as oh Judy Booty over here. You know what I'm saying? So I can't love her. I can't bring what I did to her for you because it's you. It's your love language that I need to speak to. It's the ache of your heart that I'm continuously pursuing and trying to cover and all the things that through the seeds that we mentioned. But I was once that brother. So I think with ladies, you ladies understand it, and that comes with maturity. But the generation of women that we speak with today, they feel like we should be automatically out the box, ready to go. We Chucky, we want to play. And it don't work that way because there's too many brothers that are out here that are broken. They are broken. Even myself, I'm not a broken person, but I can say that I still have challenges with the brokenness that I came from. You
Mm,
know, but does that hinder my growth? Does that hinder me from being and giving myself to that next one? Absolutely not. It just awareness. I understand, you know what I'm saying? So that I have to govern myself accordingly, as Isha likes to say, govern myself
Yeah,
accordingly.
yes, that's a
Yeah.
fact.
So I think, the answer to the question is you have to be patient. If he's willing and he adapts, you got you one. Because you can mold him into the man you need him to be. Not want him to be, but the man you need him to be. You're molding him for you.
Facts. And to speak to one of the C words that we talked about on the last live, I think it's important for each of us to have compassion for the other one. And to your point, Brian, when you asked the question, I think it was RG that said, do you give them grace or do you
Hmm.
leave them? For me, I will show you how to love me. Okay. I will do that by, I'm the queen of, I'll sit in the car. We ain't going nowhere till you come over here and open the door. Right. I sit right here, put my little purse on my lap. Now, within the last 2 years, since my husband has made his transition, and I've had to do some things for myself, I find myself, there's some little behaviors like if we go somewhere, I jump out the car. That's because
If
of
you
that
don't,
absence.
you're right. If you don't, you'll be sitting there till tomorrow.
Okay, because ain't nobody coming to open the door for me. So, so I catch myself though, like, more frequently now, and I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious about it. You know, I know what I require, and I will show you how to love me. And since we're using open the doors, for example, I'll sit there. And if you're ready to go, or you hungry enough, you walk around the car and open the door so I can get
But now,
out.
but here's what I noticed: when they do that, they got a whole attitude, a whole one, a whole one.
And again, so then you need to decide, right? Is this the person? Because one of the other C words is coachable. So is this person coachable?
Hmm.
And if that answer is no, I don't want to be with somebody who's not coachable,
Right.
because I am going to be coachable.
Right.
I want you to show me how to love you. I want you to show me how to make sure I meet your needs. And again, that goes back to, we always showing up in husband and wife energy, so we got to be real careful.
Yeah.
So real quick, I want to jump into the comments. So Jose asked the question. He said, "What is the one door that a man can't open for you?"
Mm.
Hmm.
Ooh.
What does Jose mean by that?
Boy,
There
Jose.
is a door. So
Hmm.
that's my proxy dad. So I already know the answer. What is
Okay.
the one door that a man cannot open for you?
Okay. What door is that?
I will wait. Before you even ask that question, the one door that I can't open for somebody is the door to the kingdom of heaven.
The door to heaven, okay.
I can't open that door.
Okay, well, and see, I
What
wasn't
you?
going. I thought about that, and I was like, well, I know he ain't talking about that door. We
He might be talking about that door. What door are you talking about?
well, what I'm saying is, you can take me to the door. You can take me to the king, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? But I have to walk through that door. You know, so I didn't think about that. I
Okay.
mean, I don't
It's a
know.
it's a very simple answer.
The bathroom door?
Yeah, it's the bathroom door. That's the one
Bathroom
door
door.
that
That's the only
can't
thing I
open
can
for
think.
you.
I can't open the bathroom door for you. If I do, then
Somebody gonna be calling the people. Yeah, it's a bathroom
Okay.
door. So every other door, you
Uh,
better be on it.
yeah,
Jose on it. I'm gonna give Jose his props. Well, he on it today. I
I
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I
Jose
know.
on it
yeah.
today. You hear snippets of Jose here and there, but boy, tonight he was on
I'm gonna
one
get him
tonight.
one night. I'm gonna get him one night up here so he can be in the box.
Jose, you on it.
Tell, ask Jose. Well, ask like he can't hear me,
Right.
Miss Mr. Jose. What is the one thing that a woman can do to you that there is no comeback from?
Hold on, because I got about 3 answers right now myself, and they
What
ain't
is
appropriate for daytime
right?
TV.
One, two, or three, whichever. What is, give me one thing that a woman can do that I don't care whether it's 1 year, 5 year, 20 years, 60 years, 100 years, with ain't no comeback from that.
I know
Or
mine. Same, right? So that
or is everything forgivable?
Everything is forgivable.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Try Jesus. Don't try me. Everything is not forgivable.
I think you, but
No,
you that
sir.
ain't what you, that's not what you asked, RG. You
Yes, I.
asked for a man. You talking about
Yeah,
a man?
for him, for
For a
him.
man, right?
But you said, me, everything is forgivable, and I'm saying to you, everything is not forgivable. You can do some horrible, disgusting. It's not forgivable. I'm not coming back. Personally,
Well,
there's some things that are not forgivable.
you
I'm not
asked
going to forgive you for it.
you asked from a man,
I did ask the man.
right? So that's all the thing. I'm just going based on what you asked. I don't know about Jose, but for me, I think cheating because cheating is different with a man and a woman.
Wait a minute. Let me see. Cheating. Are you talking
Mhm.
about one time sleep around or a whole affair? Y'all got an apartment together and y'all go on vacation. The
Oh,
one time you got your little Jimmy wet and it's done, it was an accident. Is that what we're talking about? Or is
both,
it a whole affair? Because a lot of people want to tell
yeah,
me there's a difference. There's a
both,
difference between I just lost my mind, I just stepped outside my natural mind, and me and old girl got property together.
but both.
You got an insurance policy with her name on it. Is that a difference?
So,
Okay.
so from I don't know about Jose, and I'm sure Jose gonna chime in, but I think because and here's the reason why I say that. Women think about our history. Think about slavery days. Think about back in the color purple days. Men just cheated. They did, and the women would
Papa
stay, and
days.
that's forgivable. But if the shoe's on the other foot, a man cannot handle that. We can't handle it. It's something in the DNA. We can't handle that. We can't. We can't, Archie. I'm broke down from the flow down, and you know, I'm just gonna put that tail in between the legs, and I just gotta deal with
Choke my
that.
own self out.
I gotta move on. Move on.
Okay. All right.
All right. So Jose said the one thing is disloyalty.
Okay.
So that goes in hand in hand because here's the thing: men cheat out of physicality. Women cheat from an emotional. If a man cheated emotionally,
No, some of us just nasty and want a good set of. Some of us cheat out of physicality because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And I've been frustrated for 15 years. Oh no, I'm finna get me some. Sometimes it's the physicality. That's where y'all wrong. Y'all want to think it's all emotional. Nope. Sometimes I want my back cracked.
don't don't.
Nope. I just want my back cracked.
and that goes back to what Ish was saying earlier about not bringing the physical too soon.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm just saying. But the disloyalty is this.
Mm,
Disloyalty looks it's that's a big blanket to be disloyal. Let me tell you how little disloyal is. We go to the family reunion and your cousin Twinkie start talking about you and I don't open my mouth. Hey little girl, I know that's your cousin and all, but that's my man. You can't talk about him like that. You need to get your pocketbook and say, let's go. I'm out of here. You can stay with your little family if you want to. We finna roll because your little cousin Twinkie called you a punk. And I'm not putting up with that. Disloyalty is when you side with other people a lot of times and you're supposed to be siding with your mate. So
mm,
sometimes you can be disloyal on a whole different level. You're not going down with the ship.
yeah.
All right.
Mm.
Y'all know. Y'all. Jose brought up disloyalty. So I want to ask this question, and I know we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on here for a minute. Um,
My bad.
if no, I mean it was good. I think it was some great dialogue. I know I learned some stuff. I know, it's some people in the comments that learned some stuff too. So disloyalty. If you are in a marriage, and I'm speaking husband and wife, remember, because we don't show up as boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, you in a marriage, and your husband or your wife gets counsel from someone of the opposite sex, meaning not advice, not an opinion, but counsel. And I'll give you an example. If my husband go to work and sister girl says, "Hey, you need to you need to start your business selling chicken wings." My husband come home and say, "Baby, I'm about to go start a business selling chicken wings." That's getting counsel from outside of your marriage. Is that disloyal?
Are y'all wait on me?
We wait, look, all eyes.
Listen, I'm just gonna say this here. Let me
Okay.
say this here. I'm gonna speak to a very vulnerable space because to me, I always felt like when people hear your story and you're authentic about it, that's what helps them, you know. So I will say when I was married and I was going through, my wife would not listen to me because she just wasn't like that. You know, at some point in time, she lost trust in me for whatever reason. Don't know. Because she never listened to me, I will acknowledge, I will acknowledge my issue was I didn't get the listening ear from my spouse, so I would listen to other women on the job. I was,
Work-wise.
I'm just sharing. I was because I didn't think how detrimental that is to her in her mind, or into y'all's mind. That's almost as bad as a man cheating.
That's
But I
that's
was,
that's disrespectful.
yeah, it was very disrespectful, and I can acknowledge that. I own that. That was a mistake I made. I never stepped outside of our marriage. I had somewhat boundaries, but I think because I was going through so much and she wouldn't listen, even when we went to counseling, she didn't listen, and I broke down. And I would be able to, anybody that had a listening ear, it didn't matter if they were man or woman. I was, you know. So I can acknowledge my faults, okay? But what is Isha doing? But what I learned is,
So bad.
yeah, it's probably a red flag. I'm okay with that because I've adapted to that. And even though it's the behavior that was an issue, the behavior was it stemmed from childhood because my mom abandoned me and my sister. I was always seeking a woman's approval or seeking that.
Mm.
So that's where it comes from. So even though I learned that, there are still snippets or residue of that happens today. And I can say that. But what I can say is the process of not doing that is a mindset because of loyalty to the person that I'm with. However, is that disloyal? I think that's disrespectful to her because if she is that person, I'm just sharing. I don't have it figured out. I'm just sharing from my
It's
place.
both. It's both.
Both. Okay. I'll acknowledge that. It
It's
can be
both.
both. Yeah, it can be both. I was just
And
sharing my,
right,
my
and it has to be understood that when you allow folks to start talking under your clothes and you are married and you start to seek counsel, that's like if you close your eyes and be I'm married to you and I am dreaming about what it's like for Jose to be kissing me and touching me. That's the same thing. That's a whole you didn't that's a whole different level of disrespect. And whether you know it or not. Them work wives and them work husbands, bad move. Bad move. Bad move. Bad move. And because people don't understand that that's intimacy on top of the cover. And an intimacy you
mm,
should only share with your husband on top of the cover and underneath.
Ooh.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That it goes because here's the thing. When you say and they go, I understand. And they start giving you counsel and they start talking to you. You start pulling away from me emotionally, right? And even though you weren't getting it from me, right? That puts a bigger wedge in between us. And a lot of see, that's how the clean up woman gets you. That's how you get got, and then if it doesn't happen with her, you're still seeking it and you're still looking. So you have to understand, when you start seeking counsel, nobody should be able to get that close to you. No man should be able to talk under your clothes
Yeah.
or on top of your clothes. They ought, when they start talking, you be like, do you understand I have a husband? Do you understand I have a wife? And it ought to be crystal clear. And most of us have that thing. It's like, nah, man, she married. you know
Folks don't care about that nowadays.
Yeah, if you turn off that frequency enough, they won't even approach you. Trust me.
Yeah.
Nothing. Gone by. You know, bye, sir, sir, ma'am, bye. I don't, because the level of disrespect that comes with that. Because what you'll do with me, you'll do to me.
Mm.
Ooh.
Right? How you got your husband? God ain't never brought you nobody's husband, nobody's wife. If
Mm.
you in the number two position and he make you the number one position, that frees up the number two position. He gonna put somebody else in. And people have to understand that that's not gonna change. And I'm gonna start hearing the same little lies we was telling her. And you
Mm.
already don't trust me because you cheated with me with you.
Yeah. So that creates the insecurity. And shout out to my aunt Annie. And I'm not gonna say it the way she would say it, but she would say, the same way you got them, girl, it's the same way you lose them.
Come on.
So
She was
um,
100% correct.
it's real. And so to your point, even if they don't cheat, right? If you was number two to your position, you move up to number one. Even if they don't cheat, there's that little thing in the back of your mind that's gonna always be thinking, what is he doing? Where is he going? Who is he talking to? What is he doing it with?
Because we were doing it. We were in the car laughing at you. When he
Yeah.
told you that big fat one, I was on speakerphone. I heard you. Baby, when you coming home? Girl, we on our way to Aruba. Call me when you get there.
Yeah, that
That's
was that
real.
was, and I can say that then back then, I didn't recognize it until I went to therapy. Well, actually, I did recognize it, but I don't think I addressed it deep. The in depths. Until I went to therapy, and my therapist kind of thumped me on the head a little bit, and he was just like, "Well, put yourself in her shoes. No matter what's going on in that marriage, no matter how much turmoil, would you be okay with her? Because women are more emotional. We just looking for somebody to listen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for a woman, that's a major component. So when he told me that, you know, I made adjustments even when I wasn't in a relationship because that's not the kind of vibe I want to create. I can go to my job now. There is no woman that I'm flirting with. I see somebody, I'll speak, and I immediately, and I'm a single person. So I started to practice those things in my singleness as an action so that once I do become in a position of marriage or relationship and marriage, that I'm already preconditioned. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So once I get to that point, I think I got to get back to being mindful of making sure that I don't continue those same behaviors and put myself in that position. And that's one of the things that I always share with people. Behaviors don't change, those things are there, but how you approach the behaviors is what changes. So even even with me being in my singleness, I started to practice those, actions. I see somebody flirting or whatever. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I got a meeting. Let me go ahead and go to this meeting.
I
You know
gotta
what
go.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't mutual. I mean, of course, the work thing, I never. I've only done that once, and that was when I was younger. But again, I started to practice those things once I became self-aware of the damage that I caused. Like I said, I own it. You know, when I was made aware after I got divorced, then I started to practice as if I'm representing someone that I'm gonna be with. You know, she's out there. I need to handle myself in my singleness the same way that I handle myself because I'm a representation of her.
That's good, B Starks. I appreciate your vulnerability tonight. I really do. I appreciate your transparency because it's hard to do. It's hard to reflect, admit your mistakes, really look at and assess how you learn from them, and create practical things that you can put in place,
Yeah.
right? To prepare yourself for your next situation. So Jose said, um, that person, the advice where it came from. One of my problems in my first marriage was outside interference. Me and my wife now do Mary Kay together. She recommended me to do it, and it's a team effort. Husband and wife is loyalty to each other. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it may cause you to do some things that you are not comfortable with. But that's part of the two becoming one. And so, in regards to that outside interference, for me, it's like, who in a relationship here? Who's in a marriage here? Because ultimately, if you listening to Shaniqua at the job telling you what to do, when it all go to heck, Shaniqua ain't gonna be the one dealing with the consequences. It is gonna be you and I, right? So it's important to not have any outside interference.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree.
Heard.
I agree. That thing, the only person that should be in the midst of your husband and your marriage is God.
Yep.
That's the trifecta. Me,
Triangle.
me, yeah, that's it. And he at the top.
He at the top. He right here.
Right,
Me
he at
is
the top.
you, and he right here.
He at the top. And I think anything and everybody else, yeah, and you know it's bad when I tell you you got to come after the children. It's God, my husband, my children, my family, my friends, my community, right? Love who loving you, take care who taking care of you, and pray for everybody else. And because some of y'all got too many people, we was in a counseling session with other counselors, and this lady said something that's profound. The reason why you can't get with your husband because there's 8 or 9 of y'all in the bed.
Mm.
And she said that's the reason why you can't get a connection with the person you in love with, you married to, because you got 9 people. Oh, he don't do it like Bob. It ain't big as Sam's. Joe don't.
Mm.
He don't
Mm.
hold my leg up like Will did. He got to go through Joe and Bill and Frank and Bob and Tyrone to get to you, because you're
Wow.
comparing him. You don't treat me like. You don't love me like. You don't kiss me like. You don't hold me like.
Mm.
And that man got to go through all them people to get to you because you're comparing. There's all them folks in the relationship. So sometimes it's a proverbial, all the people in the relationship. You, him, and the Lord.
Mm.
After that, you got a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem.
She preached it. She said that.
Sure did. Sometimes you just gotta know when to walk away. So on that note, y'all, listen. We've had some real enlightening conversation. RG jumped in, schooled us all. Um, yeah, this is real. This is real. And what I appreciate is that we talk from a very real place, a place of vulnerability. We expose ourselves, the good, bad, the ugly, in a prayer that somebody's going to benefit from it. Somebody will be able to learn from our mistakes. Somebody will be able to learn from our requirements. Somebody will be able to learn from our standards. And so I appreciate everybody that jumped in, said something, didn't say something, watched, listened, hung in with us for the whole 2 hours and 9 minutes. And so, again, thank y'all so much. This is your girl, Isha Nicole. Got my boy, B Starks in the building. And the one and only, the queen and the legend, RG Breed. So to all that, have a fantastic week. Yo, we'll see you on Thursday. What we gonna be talking about? Oh, we talk about business on Thursday. So be ready. Yeah, we're gonna be out here. So until then, peace.